Cool. So we're now in my bathroom, and so the sound will be slightly different. And we've just got a little radiator in here. There's nothing like having a toasty towel when you get out of the bath. So it's just a really comfortable temperature to have in here. I thought we'd talk about Melbourne's temperature and temperatures and how hydronic is best used in Melbourne.
Yeah, so actually the climate in Melbourne is suitable for a heat pump. Basically, you haven't got the low extremes like they've got in Europe. So it's drawing heat from the air, and if it's not cold, they're more efficient. The hydronic, obviously it's, like you said, it's very different to air conditioning. It's more of a radiant heat, and it works differently to your boiler. So we work on a premise it's low temperature, but you keep it on longer. So it's like low and slow rather than a boiler, which is like fast and high.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you design your system low temperature, and then you run it for longer during the day just to get the energy into the house.
So one of the things that I had with your system, which goes to the cooling, everybody was asking, can you do cooling with it? So it does 19 degrees through it when it's a hot day.
Yeah.
Which the way I look at it is just adding to the thermal mass of the house.
Yeah.
So it's just like I've gained
a little
bit of thermal mass, which is just absorbing any temperature above 19, taking it out and just staying 19.
Yeah, so it won't go below that, because I know people were saying about condensation and bits and pieces. With cooling, the main cooling type is you've got underfloor. So the Wiesmann products can obviously run underfloor heating and cooling. It's not much of a different cost if you've only got the floor. It comes slightly different when you've got fan coils. So fan coils, you're running chilled water for a fan coil. They come in all different shapes and sizes, so it's best for your installer to, recommend fan coils. And then obviously you've got to run water pipes to them, which is swings and roundabouts, but it's better than ducts and like dragging that through your house. So yeah, running a flow return to a fan coil.
It's more efficient to run temperature through water than it is through air. You don't need as much space. But for me, what I've noticed, if people remember, a couple of days ago, it was like 30 degrees and 92% humidity.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'll just see if there's any condensation at 19 degrees. I wasn't expecting any, but just to let people know there wasn't any.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, we do have small radiators in our 2 bathrooms and 4 radiators throughout the house. But that's all the heating that we have in the house, apart from our open fire, which we just use for atmosphere, as you said.
Yeah.
And it's very comfortable. I'll have to report back in winter, though, to see where the energy costs are. But at the moment, the energy costs are negligible, really.
Yeah, so I think the idea is running at lower temp. It runs on the climate outside. So Wiesmann, there's a weather curve which you can set into the Hydro box, and on your phone you can look at what temperature you're comfortable at, and it looks at the temperature outside and then adds the water, like changes the water temp to suit what's outside, to make sure you're comfortable. And that's all kind of house specific and customer specific. So you don't like heating in your bedroom, so you don't do it, but some people like a bit of heat in the bedrooms, and then they have setbacks for temperatures, so it's very kind of customer specific and job specific, so they all can be programmed and customized to you. So that's the beauty of it, I think.
Yeah. So one of the questions, there's been lots of questions specifically in old brick house, different regions of Australia. So for those, it really is talk to your installer. Ours is a complicated one because we wanted to keep the tanks and we wanted to keep the radiators, and so you had to adapt to that. So one of the other questions would be size and position of the condenser unit and buffer tank. So you have a little formula that you use for that.
Yeah, so basically it's a rough formula, but maybe a 2-meter box, if you imagine, that your condenser is going to go, because it needs a lot of airflow. So we don't really want to put them up against fences or walls. Basically, the more air you get around it, the more efficient they are.
Yeah. So we'll show you that when we're outside, how much space there is, but it isn't really a 2-meter box.
Yeah.
I would say it's maybe 900 by 2 meters for the whole thing.
I think also there are other heat pumps, so they'll be manufacturer specific. There are some that do smaller, some do bigger, so
yeah. We've already talked about the cooling question. installation complexities, that just depends on the houses. You've done some really interesting places.
Yeah, so like off-grid, different architectural houses.
Was there a bluestone one that you mentioned last time?
Yeah, the church. Yeah, that was a good install as well, from a boiler as well.
Yeah,
same thing.
So when you came to my place, I was pretty adamant that I wasn't going to replace my radiators.
Yeah.
But if somebody was considering either replacing everything or doing what I did, which is a retrofit, how would you advise them?
So you look at you have to see what the customer wants at the start of everything. Expectations, how they want to run their system. We'd look at doing a heat loss on the house. For you, obviously, you've done the right thing with insulation. And like we were saying earlier, a 200 square house that's badly insulated and has got drafts in it compared to 140 squares that's badly insulated and got drafts in it. You can have a 200 square well insulated, no drafts, and the heat loss would be, a lot. The
bigger house could be more efficient if it's well designed.
We always say bang for buck is insulation is where you start. So
and one of the things that you guys do is maintenance and monitoring. So what's that? So when you sign up to Wiseman,
so we we do active monitoring. So if you have any problem, it's only if you want to, but it's all connected online. So we've got an app that we can log into your system. We don't change anything. We can't turn your system off, anything like that. It's more just monitoring. So if you have a problem, we know about it. It's more proactive than reactive, I think, is the key thing to that.
I love that.
And you can also say, actually, hey, we'll tweak this. And we can also speak to Wiesman because they can do more back of house stuff. But they're really good with their customer service.
Yep, cool. All right, we'll go outside and then we'll talk things and then we'll do the specific